Welcome to our town. I'm Beryl, Bernay, your host. Our guest is Joy Gordon, who is the new executive director of Guild Hall in East Hampton. And we're going to get to know her right now. So welcome to our town, and I guess you're welcoming us to Guild Hall.
Well, thank you very much.
Right. I want to, how long have you been at Guild Hall now?
7 weeks. And it's been a very exciting and busy 7 weeks, I will say, but I think it bodes well. I'm having fun.
I'm sure, but you're also terribly busy. I'm
yes,
sure of that. Right, and I think we should start so that people get to know you with, well, your professional background a little bit, maybe even a little bit more about you and your personal life, so we can get to know a little bit of what you're like. A little bit more.
Okay. Well, I don't know how far back you want to go, but I went to school at New York University, and as an undergraduate, was torn between thinking I might want to be an artist. I did paint and draw then, and going into commercial art. And I made a decision at that time to go into advertising, which at that time I thought was a very exciting field to be in. And transferred my major to advertising and commercial art. So that's where I started. And so on graduation, I spent 10 years in and out at Condé Nast Publications. I worked on Vogue magazine. And during that time, I was married and had a child, and decided that my real love really was art. And I went back to school to study fine art. While I thought that the commercial world was really exciting, I just felt that my own persona, my haunting museums all the time and all my spare time and going to art galleries, told me that that's where I belonged. So that's what I've been doing ever since. It's been
and you
a
were
very long career.
In Massachusetts for 11 years, right?
I lived in Boston for 11 years. I worked first at New York University at the Gray Art Gallery, and got this offer to go to Boston. I had never lived anywhere but New York, and I thought it was time to broaden my own experiences. So I did live in Boston for 11 years, and it's a wonderful city.
Oh, I love Boston.
I did miss I missed New York a lot, and I guess everyone from Boston knew immediately that I was a New Yorker because of my New York speech pattern, and so I guess I decided I better go back to where my voice was more
even
acceptable.
After 11 years?
Even after 11 years, yes.
Yeah.
So the opportunity to be at Guild Hall and to be in this community, to me, is just a gift. I feel very lucky.
Well, I think we're pretty lucky. But you skipped over those 11 years very quickly, and I really think that I think it's so important in your background that we know something of what you did. I've written some notes on some of your achievements, but I think if you want to tell us, because I know
I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
I left New York to become director of the Danforth Museum of Art. It's a small art museum, half an hour outside of Boston, and what I feel I accomplished there, which I feel I can accomplish here, is that I had great involvement with the community. I worked very directly with the community and with Boston artists, after I came to Boston knowing only New York artists. And I felt at that time that one has to serve one's own community first. And I feel I will readapt that here. We did very interesting programming, which brought in a very broad audience. We didn't have a theater as Guild Hall does, but we did have an auditorium. So we did music events and dance and a lot of children's programming and a lot of adult education stuff. So I hope to continue and build on what Guild Hall's been doing. And
you
just add to that.
initiated a lot of programs in
Yes,
Boston.
I'm a programming type.
So
I like to feel that when you have a building, it's just utilized a lot. So it became more of an art center in a way. We did a lot more than just art exhibitions. And since Guild Hall has the auditorium, the theater is right there.
And it's a beautiful theater.
And it is a wonderful theater. And a lot has been going on there.
Oh,
I
yes.
think Guildhall is very active. I think that perhaps we just have to get the word out a little bit more and vary the programming a little bit so we can reach all age groups. Maybe do a little bit more for children. It's one of my thoughts.
Terrific.
So,
And so your plans are really to reach every part of the community that's possible with whatever programs are either continued or initiated.
yes, I've been, talking to lots of people. I've been getting lots of mail, and I've gotten some very interesting comments. And I do try to answer all the mail personally by hand.
It's hard.
But that's how I'm learning what people are thinking. And some things we can't do because of finances, and some things we can't do because of space or time or staff. But a lot of the things I can do, and so I make the same offer on TV. If there's something you think is interesting that I might want to know about, let me know, because we're looking for ideas. We're here really to serve the community.
Well, I think you're going to get a lot of mail.
Well, don't expect an answer right away. But I am learning a lot. Now, I feel especially fortunate because I have been summering here. So I don't come to Guildhall as a complete stranger, but I come as just a community member. About 15 years.
Oh, really? Well, then
Yeah.
you know the community pretty well.
Yeah, I've been coming out summers and coming in from Boston, and I have a little house in the Springs area, which I love, and just learning about, grass and trees and what's a weed and what's a flower.
Those of us who moved out have a lot to learn about things like that. I'm still learning. I've been here 5.5 years now. Yeah.
But I have visited Guildhall as a professional from another museum, so I've had my own ideas, because as a professional you look at things with a different eye, and so I guess through the years I've formulated some of my own opinions, but I've been a steady goer. So I
Terrific. Well, what else? Let's see. You said you have a child, and I was asking you about what in your life has been most satisfying, and maybe this child is part of it. Right?
Well, he obviously spent a large part of his growing up in Boston, so he's not sure whether he's a New Yorker or a Bostonian, but he does live in Los Angeles now, and he is a film writer for a TV writer.
Oh, really?
So he writes for a children's program, which is now on a Disney Channel, and loves East Hampton as well. So he has visited here, and yes, I'm very proud of him.
Good.
I think he's proud of me. It's really
Sure
nice.
he is. I'm sure he is.
But I do get a chance to go to visit LA, and it's very nice now. I'll be taking my vacations in the winter time rather than the summer, and that's a nice time to go to California.
Is
So
it too
that's very
soon
good.
to ask you about any of your plans for Guildhall for East Hampton?
Well, my plan is to sit back and observe and talk to as many people as I can, so I get a sense of what we can do that would make people feel that Guildhall is a place to drop in on and to go. I did start one class almost immediately for the artists, and that was a life drawing class, because I felt that I could do that quickly, and I think that's been working very well.
And we've needed it
We
here.
do want to do more programming for children, or I like to say children of all ages. The first thing we're doing is a magic show, which will you'll all hear about. We will be doing some mailings and some
Wonderful.
advertising. I'm hoping to bring in things like puppet shows, and because I think that we've all become too much of stay-at-homes, and I think it's good to get out. At the same time that you see a show, you can also look at the art on the wall. So I'm subliminally getting everyone interested in art. And so we've started that. We're starting slowly, and I'm hoping by next fall there will be a regular, the sense that Wednesday nights we can do such and such at Guildhall, and Friday nights this and this happens. So we're all working. I have a very good staff, and we've been meeting and trying to get input from everyone and see where we go from there.
Well, let's see. What else can we get to know about you? I think maybe a little bit more about your opinions about this community, besides involving the children, just about living in East Hampton, and maybe some of the things you didn't expect to enjoy living here all winter that you're now finding very enjoyable.
Oh, well, of course I had never been here beyond August, and by November, friends from Boston were calling saying, how does it feel living in a ghost town, in a resort area, and now that it's wintertime? And what is so really rewarding and enlightening was the fact that East Hampton is a year-round community.
Absolutely.
That it's just as hard to find a parking space on Saturdays as it is during the summer, and that the year-round community is a very active one and very interesting one. So I have felt no difference at all.
Right.
I thought that there would be this change. Now the weather might have something to do with it. We haven't had snow yet.
Yeah, we've had a very mild winter.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you, it's beautiful when it snows here. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's not. We haven't had very severe winters actually for several years. I don't think that our winters are ever as severe as Boston, which we're used to.
Right.
But it's beautiful. I mean, the seasons that people aren't here, not as many people from outside, are the spring and the fall and the winter, and each one has its own beauty.
Yeah, it's quite nice, and East Hampton is a study in contrasts anyway, from the very woodsy areas to the very glamorous area to places you can go for quiet and nature, and places you can go that are more commercial. It's a wonderful study in contrast, and I think the population reflects that.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I think that we can do broad enough programming, because there's just such a wonderful diversity here.
Exactly, and that perhaps is one of the things that makes East Hampton unique, don't you think?
I think so.
Different than other little towns around the country.
And other resort areas, because there is such a different, so many different aspects and personalities and living styles, and I'm usually in jeans on weekends, and I feel perfectly comfortable, and you can just be whoever you are at any time, and I guess either socialize or not, or back off, and as I said, and hopefully Guildhall will be another option of what one can do of an evening. So it's a wonderful challenge, and I've always liked challenges. If it was something that was really easy, I might not have felt so excited about it.
It's not easy,
but there's an excitement for me to. My challenge is to increase audience participation. So that's what I'm working on.
And community participation, right? Which is really very, it's really very commendable, because those of us who are artists, and then there are many of us who are not artists, and we all go to Guildhall, but maybe not enough. Maybe we're going to start to go more.
Well, next September. Although our summer programming is going to include programs for children, and this is the first summer that will happen.
Good.
But we will have programming in the theater for children, and I think that's something that's very nice. And there will be a lot more low-key events, and perhaps some events that are not very expensive. And I know that my first winter here, before I even knew that I'd be at Guildhall, I would look for things to do and things that were not overly expensive. So
I think that's very important.
As I said, a lot of the programs have been in place. It's a matter of either reviving them or stepping them up or reinstituting them. But Guildhall has had a very interesting history, and that's what I'm learning from people who've been calling and writing. Just some really interesting things about Guildhall. So we're all looking forward to some excitement, I hope.
Good, I hope so too. I don't know, what else do you think that it might be interesting for the people here in this community and in neighboring communities, because this program will be seen on the entire East End, probably North Shore and South Shore.
And actually,
and starting, I would say, from Riverhead on, it really will, and we really will you know, reach a lot of people. So you might think of some other things.
And I might tell you that our own membership reflects that. You know, that we are at the end. Now, as I said, I've just completed my 7th week.
Right.
I've learned a lot. I really have, and I think that the statistics of the summer, winter, as I mentioned before, community has changed dramatically, and people are spending more and more time out here. The quality of life is better.
I was thinking about people coming in from Southampton, from Riverhead, from the North Shore. Many people now come to Guildhall and will come here to see various exhibitions and plays and concerts. And there's, I think, even more traveling around the East End from one community to another than there used to be. So, and this program is going to be shown on other stations that cover this area. So maybe there might
Yes, well, we are involved with a lot of community projects. Of course, you know, during the winter, the community theater does four plays a year, and they're wonderful. And we have scheduled the East End music group. We'll be spending 2 days here. So we actually work a lot with people out there in the community. People from Southampton College contact us, and we share programs. We are even now sharing lots of programs.
Terrific.
So, as I said, that will become more visible, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea.
I think it'll take about 2 years to affect programming that people will come to expect. Right now, I think
you're planning to continue, or is it too soon to know the concerts and that's the musical programs besides this very the East End group? Are you still thinking of bringing in other outside groups?
Oh yes, but we have been doing that. It's just been it's just been very low key.
Right.
And then we usually rev up for the summer because the population increases so. So the summer programming has been very intensive, but I'm hoping that after the summer that intensity, while it might abate a bit, but will still be there, perhaps on a different level. Like one of the most popular things we do is, you know, rock and roll concerts at the end of the summer. But we might institute another concert like that during the winter, because the teenagers love it, and a lot of adults love it too.
I don't know if you were here, and maybe not, and had a chance to see a couple of the programs that we did in tribute to Canio, or organized by Canio of Canio's Books in Sag Harbor, which were free, and the theater was overflowing, standing room, and those of us who participated, I did in both of them, really got such a feeling of response from the audience, and so maybe, I don't know if you're planning to continue doing some of those occasionally, but I think partially because they're free, and partially because they may attract a different audience than normally comes to Guildhall. They really did bring in people.
One of the things I'm studying, of course, is our past attendance. But I'd like to think that we could institute a very good film program during the winter.
Good idea.
And a good a forum of some kind, so that when current event issues come up, we can draw from our own community. For instance, this problem now with the book that was written about Iran, and there's a big issue of freedom of the press, freedom of writing, what artists think, what writers think. There are certain things that happen that we might become a forum for and invite people to discuss. We're all kind of working together, the staff and some of the board, to perhaps have activities that cross the line, that are not just necessarily art on the walls. But the curatorial department is working really hard to bring in some exciting exhibitions. Will be happening too.
And the discussion programs have been very successful, so
They have.
I would think that even more.
Yeah, they were a summer
be
program,
wonderful.
and we'll see if we
Right.
can bring that into
Right.
into year-round. And as I said, I am trying to talk to people from different aspects of the community, find out how we could work with them, remembering that we are, an arts center, but that covers a lot of ground. So.
It sure does. I don't know. As I said about the cameos, one was a poetry tribute with. There were some other people involved too, but that also, believe it or not, filled the house, which was unusual,
Right.
really. So there are also a lot of poets here, and a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of writers, of course, we know we have, but writers who are specifically poets. I didn't realize until I was living here how many there were.
Really? Well,
Yeah,
see, I
yeah.
haven't spread out yet,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm quite aware of the talent on so many levels.
And musicians, as you said, and people who love music. There's nobody ever seems to get enough music.
I was going
here.
to say that in addition to trying to serve the artists in the community, I really want to serve find out what the community wants to
Right.
see and hear,
Right.
so that I'm really serving two audiences at
How do
once:
they get
the
in-
performer and the performee.
If they write to you just Guildhall, East Hampton, will that get to you?
Yeah.
So that we don't have to do a whole address. I'm sure that will.
No,
will
that
reach
should
you.
do it. That should do it.
That's to Joy Gordon, Guildhall, East Hampton, New York. That's it. That's all you need. With suggestions, she may get too many. It may take her.
It'll take a while, but I
It'll take a
really,
while to get back
I
to you.
really do read the mail, because
that's great.
that is really my job, and that is to serve a community. I did it in Boston. We did it again when I was down
takes a
at
lot
New
of
York
time.
University. Yeah, but it's got great rewards.
It takes evening time, I would think.
Yeah.
But you'll find, I guess, that you are already working some evenings.
Trying hard. I'm trying hard to, keep within reasonable bounds.
Yeah.
But the time goes fast. I'm doing, as I said, a lot of reading, a lot of research. The history of Guildhall is fascinating. We're in our 58th year.
58?
58th.
I didn't realize that. I thought
So there's
51st.
a lot of history. The building was built in the 30s, and it had a little white picket fence around it. And one wonders whether one should try to bring back that look. People have told me that there used to be many more community theater activities, and it's been interesting. The population, of course, became more artistic in the 50s when the abstract expressionists came in, and but we still have a whole other community of people who just live everyday lives and are working hard. And I'm just one of those people, really. I have a job, and I'm out of the house and in the office at 9 o'clock. So.
Well, I'm awfully glad we've had a chance to get to meet you.
Oh, well, thank you.
And I think we're going to have to end this program in a couple of minutes. So I just want to tell you who are the viewers again that this is a chance to get to Guildhall, and maybe you'll have a chance to meet Joy Gordon. And if you want to write to her, that's her offer. Write to Joy Gordon, the Executive Director of Guildhall in East Hampton. And what else? What else do you want to say to people before we leave?
Well, just give me time. I think I will try to have programming for everyone in about 2 years. No matter what you do, no matter what your where you live or what your interests are, I'm hoping that I will have something that will entice you to come to Guildhall. That's my.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to close now, and we hope you'll come and see whatever is happening and participate in whatever is happening at Guildhall. And we're glad you came to see us on our town.
Thank you.
So thank you, Joy Gordon, and I'm Beryl Bernay. Bye-bye till next time.